Live from Talking Joe Studios, it's Talking Joe. Well, of course it's Talking Joe. It's literally the name of the studio. Joe wrote this copy!
Live from the Talking Joe Studios, it's Talking Joe.
Talking Joe is on the air.
Hey, it's me, Mark, and welcome to Talking Joe, the G.I. Joe Comics podcast. Now, today we'll be looking at G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, issue 330, released Wednesday, July the 8th, 2026, and we will also be talking about some of the news associated with the comics that has popped up in the last last couple of weeks, let's say. So the issue that we will be talking about is 330. The synopsis reads as follows. Can SCARLETT stop Snake Eyes? Will Dr. Mindbender's master plan turn the Joe's closest friends into their deadliest enemies? Now, discussing with me whether the issue delivered on the promise that solicit promised. I think my words have stopped working. Anyway, the person talking with me about that issue will be none other than my regular co-host, it's the Real American Tim. It's Tim Finn.
Hello, Mark, and listeners and viewers. Say, there's an open sign, suction cups to a cabinet behind you, and it's got the cover to Energon Universe G.I. Joe 1, or is that the promo
right.
art for Duke? Are you running a comic book store out of the cabinets over your shoulder?
All right, yeah. Do you want to?
And then on the back, does it have the bad guys and it says closed?
The Cobra sign saying closed.
Did you? That's a fun. Did you get that at a comic book store?
This is an official bit of merch created for comic book stores by SKYBOUND and was kindly gifted to me by international hero Stephen Kelly across the pond in Ireland. Thank you, Stephen.
That's great.
But
we should bring in our guest.
Our regular co-host, I think at this point, our co-host, it's no. Well, he's got a jingle, so let's use the jingle to introduce him before bringing him into the studio. Pelletier's on the art. Pelletier's on the art. For this issue and for several more.
I do think you should re-record that, where you sing our guest's last name with the pronunciation that we've all
the correct pronunciation
that we've all agreed on.
Pelletier rhymes with Pia or Tia, as Tim correctly points out. Although Paul has unfortunately disappeared from the green room behind the scenes, so probably his computer's restarting or some such. So I think we'll hold fire before bringing him in, but we can remind people that we are live. So if you want to join in with the fun, you can drop us a message in the chat, and we'll try to stick it on the screen as time allows and as context allows, so it's not interrupting our flow too much. But Jedi Ben says, "Hello there." Diana's in the chat. Hooray, Paul. And Squishy is in the chat. Howdy, gentlemen. Nice to see Paul again. It would be nice to see Paul. Hopefully we can deliver on that promise.
I think he heard his name being sung wrong and said, "I'm out of here. I'm not doing this show anymore."
Those amateurs. Well, he's used to us. Used to and also joining us here is
I get his name right. I don't know about
the collective us as a show sharing responsibility for my personal mistakes and omissions and whatnot. So where were we going to start with? It was going to be with some news-y stuff. So this is the first time that we've been live on the channel for a little while. We've been at Joe Fest. Where's my? There it is. Joe Fest
Mark is
Official
holding
press.
his entry badge, which is
Lanyard.
on a lanyard that in the G.I. Joe font says 250th, not the 250th Joe Fest.
No, it was the 9th. It will be the 10th will be next year. So we were at Joe Fest 2 weeks ago, where we encountered the likes of G Unit, Greg Augustin, who says, "Morning, gents, about to hit the roads, but I'll be listening." Eyes on the road, Greg. So Tim has just released his 2026 report, part 1 of X to TBC, detailing his Joe Fest experiences, or kind of our combined Joe Fest experiences. So if you want to sort of see what he made of the first day and a bit, then head on over to A Real American Book, where you can see that. And we do now have Paul back in the room.
My lovely computer decided to seize up on me. So,
right, was it a freeze, or was it a sort of just everything's gone?
Everything just kind of ground to a halt, and everything became unresponsive. So, just probably should invest in a new computer sooner or later. So, sorry about that.
G.I. Joe comics artist Paul Pelletier is joining us for, is it the 3rd time, Mark?
I think it might be even be fourth at this time. Yeah,
4th time.
So.
Oh yeah, because we did an interview, and then we've had some guest spots where one of your issues has come out. Paul, just remind us geographically, where are you in the States?
I live in Maine.
Maine. Okay, same coast as me. I'm in Massachusetts. Are you drawing G.I. Joe comics today or this week, Paul?
I have been. Yeah, I'm just about halfway through issue 334.
Ooh, neat.
Yeah.
We're not going to ask for any hints or spoilers. We just like to know sort of how Skybound and all of the moving parts do with the schedule. And when it seems like there's a bunch of stuff ready to go and people are working further out, that makes us feel confident. And
for context, so we're looking at 330 today. We've got 331, which I think wraps up this arc, which Paul is also doing. We've then got inventory issue.
Actually,
okay,
331 does not wrap up that story.
Ooh.
Okay, continues this story. Then 332 is going to be an inventory issue illustrated by Pat Olive, which is the one we talked with him about, that has been in a drawer ready to be brought out, and it's got an amazing looking cover image with Deep Six versus a Hydro Viper. Spectacular looking cover on that particular issue. And then Paul returning for at least 2 more issues after that. So I think we can say at this point, the Real American Hero artist, Paul Pelletier.
Well, it was funny. I did Heroes Con last year, and there was a Joe fan. He meant it as the nicest way possible, but it made me and friends of mine laugh. He called me the hardest working fill-in artist in comics. So, and we still joke about that, but it's like, yeah, but I've drawn, I think out of the last 30 issues, I've drawn more than half of them. So
at a certain point,
co-artist.
Yes, at a certain point, you are absolutely co-artist, and at a certain point, if you have drawn more issues than anybody else, the primary co-artist.
Yeah, it's scary to think I'm working on my 18th issue. So,
and then just a quick reminder, Paul, in between some of these G.I. Joe issues in the last 6 months, did you draw something else?
I did a 4-issue miniseries for Titan called Mutant Year Zero, and last time I talked with them, I guess there's a studio making like an animated movie of those characters, so they're waiting for the movie to be done to put the comic out. So I did that, and it looks like I might be doing some other stuff for Titan in the near future.
Cool.
But GI Joe is the main focus.
Fun.
So getting back into the news. So we were at Joe Fest. Tim's report is out there. So some of the highlights, giving away 100 blind bags to various Talkie Joe fans, people queuing in the queues, people at panels and walking around the halls, surprising people and with this the mystery comic giveaways, which included some issues by Paul even. And we also helped Rod Wiggum with his limited edition print at his table. So that was a delight meeting him and buying some of his art even. My brother Peter came away with one of his covers in his suitcase, and I think that survived the voyage back intact. I've released multiple videos, including a Joe Fest Friday evening floor walk around, give you a sense of what it's like there, and I think that ran over an hour just walking around and looking at all of the booths and occasionally stopping to have a quick chat with people. Like I think I stopped and spoke with the people who did the Legends of the Hidden Force. I've since picked up one of their new O-ring figures that look very cool. And
I just want to add, so earlier on Friday, Mark texted me and I was somewhere else in the convention. Diana thinks that your videos are fantastic, Mark. And Mark texted me and said, I'm about to do a walk around if you want to join me. And I thought, it's a Talking Joe video. I should probably do that. And then, it took me 10 minutes to extricate myself from whatever interesting thing I was doing, looking at something, talking to someone, getting some food. And then I got caught up talking to someone else and looking at other stuff. And then all of a sudden it was later. And I texted Mark and I said, have you started that? And he said, no, I just finished. The video's over an hour. And I thought, man, Mark is so slow and he's focusing in too much detail on all of the stuff at the convention. And then I realized, no, the convention is really, really that big. And if you're going to just walk from one dealer to the next, not too fast, and show a couple of things with your camera phone, there are hundreds of vendors in the main floor, in the exterior hallway, in the raised upper hallway. It actually would take that long. And I know, folks, you're thinking, you guys talk for 2 hours every week about 20 pages of comics, and half that is just about 5 covers. Trust me, Joe Fest is so big and dense. It really would take even someone trying to go fast that long to do a walkthrough video.
You can do it quicker if you're not stopping or looking. Just
right. But then if you're not stopping and looking, what's the fun? And
what's the point?
And part of time moving slowly at Joe Fest and other conventions is just sort of letting your eyeballs and your brain wander as you slowly look at some amazing toy still in the package, maybe G.I. Joe, maybe not, that maybe you did have earlier in your life, and maybe you didn't, and maybe you've always wanted, or maybe you forgot existed, and then what's next to it, and that's for sale, and then they've got some oddball surprise thing, and then maybe they've made their own thing, and then you recognize someone. And as much of a convention like this is buying or selling and talking to people, a lot of it is just looking, just window shopping. And I have a toy collection at home. It's not very big, and I will see something that I have at home in a Tupperware bin in a closet, and it suddenly takes on sort of a rejuvenated meaning when I see it for sale in someone's booth, and I think, hey, I have that. I love that. I'm so happy to see that, or something that I don't have. So if you haven't been to a small or big toy convention, G.I. Joe convention, I do recommend it. If not for the people, then for the stuff.
Well, that's why whenever I do a convention, I always stay at the table, because I know if I start wandering, I probably won't make it back to the table, and that's not good.
Paul, have you done conventions this summer?
I did Heroes Con in Charlotte last month.
That was just a month ago, right?
Yeah.
And is that a 3-day show?
Yes. Yep. Yes,
okay.
It is.
And it's put on by a comic book store, and it is only comics. There are no actors or voice actors or sort of famous cosplayers. It's just comics people.
Yep. Yeah,
And-
I would say it's probably the best for that kind of show. Just comic books, comic book artists and writers and inkers. So yeah, it's fantastic.
And Larry Hama was there. Did you get to cross paths with the guy who's writing this comic at all?
Briefly. The last couple of years I've been seated next to Jose Luis Garcia Lopez at Heroes, and Larry came up and was talking with Jose, since they go way back, and got a chance to say hi, and that was about it.
Larry Hama, folks, also has very high praise for Heroes Con. I think he described it as his favorite show, and I think a lot of that has to do with how it's purely comics and as much fun as, you know, movie actors or TV show announcements or cosplay, famous cosplayers might be. For people who want to make money doing autographs and sketches, the more of those other kinds of guests there are, the more mixed the crowd may be. And so if it is a purely comic book show, comic book people show up. And also Hama noted that like Garcia Lopez, a lot of people he knows, a lot of his friends are also guests at that show.
Yeah.
And then
and that's the great thing about it, because not only do you have some of like the newest talent in the industry, it ranges from them all the way up to like some of the all-time legends. So you've got pretty much the gamut of comic book art there, and it's just fantastic.
And then on Sunday, when the show's over, there is a cookout, a barbecue, and that's there's a space next to the store, like a lot with.
Yeah, it's like behind the store. There's a little alleyway, and then behind the store they have an area where they set up tables and tarps and some of the best barbecue you'll ever have.
And is that just for the guests, or is that a common public event for the show?
No, it's just for the guests.
Okay.
All the guests will have a wristband throughout the weekend, and that's how they get into that after party on Sunday.
Okay. So who are some friends or professional contacts that you either did get to see or were hoping or have seen at some previous Heroes Cons?
Well, I mean, I think those was the only times I got a chance to say hi to Larry.
Okay.
So that's cool.
But
again, Jose, I'm friends with him, and Kevin Nolan. Got a chance to meet one of my all-time favorites, Alan Davis, the last couple of years. So it's just, if I can get away from the table, that's the thing. Lee Weeks, who's doing the covers for G.I. Joe now, got a chance to have breakfast with him and chat. So that was great. But no, it's just that's the difficult thing about doing a show like that, because it's usually a really good show. So I'm doing tons of sketches, which means I'm probably going to have to draw in the hotel room at night. But at the same time, I want to be able to visit with friends and people I haven't seen in a long time. So that's what makes, a really good show. It's really good, but at the same time, it can be stressful, because you should be getting these commissions done, but at the same time, you want to meet with friends and people you haven't seen in a long time.
My last Heroes Con question for this episode. You did a bunch of sketches. Yep. Would you say a certain percentage of them were G.I. Joe, and a certain percentage were what other characters or properties?
I did a few G.I. Joe sketch covers this time. A lot of times it's weird where people will want to see me draw their favorite characters, not necessarily characters I've drawn. And that happens a lot. So it's kind of, it'll be a mishmash of all kinds of characters. I'm like, well, I've never drawn them before, but that's what they want to see. So, but I did a bunch of G.I. Joe covers, did a couple, there are a lot of Kyle Rayner Green Lantern fans out there. So they often want sketches of Kyle. I'll do a few, usually Aquaman is someone that gets brought up. The Incredible Hulk, but like I said, it's a weird thing, but a lot of times it's just people wanting to see me draw characters that they, even though I hadn't drawn them, but that's what they want to see.
Mark, I'm going to answer the question that you're thinking right now but haven't asked, which is, if I was at a convention with Paul, who would I ask Paul to draw in my famous person artist convention sketchbook? And I'm going to surprise you, Mark, by saying Kyle Rayner or The Flash.
Oh, there we go.
Yep. It would not, as much as I like Paul's work on G.I. Joe, in my mind, Paul is so synonymous with those DC books I was reading in the 90s. And, I got him on this podcast. We can talk about G.I. Joe almost any week. So the G.I. Joe stuff feels very current and not easy, but sort of doable. And Flash and Green Lantern feel a little more, I guess, nostalgic.
So quite a lot to talk about in terms of cons generally, but Joe Fest specifically. So speaking of speed runs, we'll try and speed run it a little bit. Part of the fun of that was sort of bumping into people, making new friends, like 610 Yojo Daddy, one of our sort of regular listeners who we were able to sort of meet in person and say hello to, get a photo with. There was what Michael Jean Fleming came up and got you to sign your Center Holds book. So sort of as a comics creator now, Tim, you're able to actually put your signature on the front of a comic book. That was fun to see happen in real life, in real time.
Let's just say that editor is parallel with creator, but I was not the writer or the artist. But
Jason too. There was Tony Nichols, who surprised me with both a key ring of one of my favorite characters on the first G.I. Joe, I think, that I ever got, an O-ring, and also a nice sticker. But particularly surprising and nice to see was that he was wearing a Talking Joe t-shirt. So hats off to Tony for that one. But I don't want to go into naming everybody because I'll miss out a load of people, because we were doing nothing but meeting people for practically 4 days solid. So
Mark was also selling toys.
I was also doing a bit of a side hustle on toys.
2 suitcases full of toys. Good job, sir. Good job.
Well, were you just selling, or were you perhaps buying at the same time?
Yeah, I didn't come back with much more in my wallet than I'd left with, so it pretty much went in one pocket and left the other.
Paul,
another,
Mark,
speaking of which, on the screen at the moment is the Joe Fest Saturday lobby sale walk around thumbnail. So I put out a video sort of highlighting the sort of thing that you might see in the Joe Fest lobby sales, where people from the show, guess not necessarily merchants, just people attending, will set up and sell a few things. So that's a fun part of the show as well. And I did a video walk around of that. We did the Big Bad panel workshop, put that out as a video where they announce, Chris Irving talked about G.I. Joe comics for a bit, and then afterwards they did a Fury Force announcement announcing that the Big Bad workshop will be making some Fury Force toys, and Fury Force is like the proto version of G.I. Joe, a project that Larry Hama was working on before actually getting to work on G.I. Joe proper in 1982. It's going to be like a Nick Fury adjacent property, and people no doubt recognize, well, actually it's on the screen there, but that artwork that was produced. And as a promo, they released a sort of set of trading cards featuring the Fury Force characters, as illustrated by Dave Wachter, who is an amazing artist, and I've long thought would be a great artist to do some work on G.I. Joe. So it's really hilarious to me that he has ended up doing this G.I. Joe adjacent project.
He's drawing something for, I think, Ignition right now, which is a brand new publisher, and had done work for Marvel the last 2 years. And man, Skybound, please throw some money at Dave Wachter and get him, if not on the Energon universe, then
something.
cycle into the Real American Hero universe, because this guy's already drawn some Larry Hama comics in the form of that Iron Fist miniseries, and has now drawn these character shots and inked an old pencil drawing by Hama for all this Fury Force stuff.
I also put out on the channel G.I. Joe Declassified panel with Deldal Priest and Brian Wilk. Lots of interesting history there. And just out this last week, I put out the recording of the Talking Joe panel, where we had Robert Atkins, Brian Shearer, and Guy Dorian Sr. talking about creating G.I. Joe comics.
Go back one slide.
Go.
On the left, folks, you'll see there, perhaps my first public appearance wearing a baseball cap.
I'd gifted Tim a Talking Joe branded baseball cap, so he very elegantly sported that for the panel. Well done, Tim. And yeah, while we're sort of on wrapping up our Joe Fest coverage, I'll call out a few of the cool things that I nabbed. So this is a LLRP themed NAM 3-pack that they put out in this sort of reinvention of the Pocket Patrol set. So this is
the Marauders?
Marauder toys, so like modern 4-inch style version of the toys with like a version of figures that looks very much like a Vietnam era Tommy, Snake Eyes, and Stalker. I picked up the Strike Force Alpha, LaCroix's toys, Kiss the Cook guy there, which is like the Seth Green inspired figure. Picked up the new 6-inch Red Shadows from Skeletron. I picked up a set of G.I. Jokes stickers from sort of Garbage Pail Kids inspired stickers, a complete set of that, plus a bit of original art as well by the creator there.
That's the color sketch, right? Of that one.
Yeah, this is a prelim watercolor sketch, I think.
Cool.
Of one that made its way into one of those cards. So that's a gung ho themed one. I did bring along my sketchbook. Got a couple of additions to the sketchbook from the convention. So this year at Joe Fest, I got this amazing Peter Smith cover.
Remind us who Peter Smith is, Mark.
So Peter Smith has been doing some of the variant covers, particularly for the silent missions. So the 2 sets of silent missions he did.
Those are the connecting ones.
Yeah, like a sort of a themed set, one for each cover, one for each comic. And from Pat Quinn, who was on the Legends of the Hidden Forces Whiskey Jack Toys table, he did me, I'll maximize myself again, he did me this one, which way am I going? That way.
We go. There we go.
There we go.
Oh, is it Shooter?
It's Shooter from G.I. Joe Classified, because given that he was one of the artists on G.I. Joe Declassified from Devil's Due, I thought that might be an interesting match.
Is, folks, this is a
Spider-Man homage.
That's right.
Yeah, it's amazing 129.
Punisher,
Shooter's in the Punisher position, and Co-Commander is contorted in the Spider-Man in his sights position. That's great.
So that was a chunk of my haul. I also got just a bunch of comic books. So
are these ones, Mark, that you didn't have? Are these ones to sell or
mostly
give?
Mostly things I didn't have and caught my eye that I wouldn't necessarily have bought if they hadn't been right there in front of me. So Tim Seeley, Devil's Due sketchbook. A copy of the NAM issue 1, because why not?
Don't forget, folks, the NAM issue number 1. It's not just penciled by Michael Golden; it's also colored by Michael Golden.
Wow.
He did that a lot. Yeah.
That Duke reprint cover. I got this just because it's quite rare. It's issue 153, Shadow of the Bat. I got a complete set of Sigma 6 just because I don't have those and only ever read them digitally.
But we've already done our episode on those, Mark.
We've already done our episode, so then they're not going to be a tax write-off. I would do that anyway.
But now you can bind them.
Well, exactly.
For the bookshelf behind you.
I got a couple of issues of G.I. Joe Australia, featuring Digger on the front cover there. Yeah, and then I have finally finished my fun publications.
Oh, very good.
Output. So from the G.I. Joe Collectors Club, they put out these issues, often timed with a particular convention, with a relatively low print run, and I've finally got a complete set, not all of the variants, but a complete set of at least one of every single one of those issues. So that conquest is done. So huzzah and hurrah.
Well, real quick, Tim, when you had asked what I had done in between the G.I. Joe stuff, I completely forgot. Last month I did 50 original sketch cards for an upcoming Topps Marvel set. So,
cool.
Yeah. So
was that formally through Topps, or was there a third party?
No, it's actually through Topps. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Do you know what the Topps set is, or what the theme is?
I know it's Marvel.
Okay.
Because it was all Marvel characters. So, and it's the first time in forever where I actually did inks and colors on myself. So it was a nice challenge, because I spent most of my career just doing pencils.
Is it so if you're drawing on a card, the card is small and it's already been cut, right? If you're doing original artwork that's going to be reduced as a card, you might draw it bigger, or you might draw several on a sheet of Bristol.
Right.
But if you are drawing on an actual card, the object that's going to go in a pack, it's got an edge, and your pencil or pen can run off of the edge. Is it harder to draw on a small card?
Well, especially with these are like super deluxe, so they're really thick.
Okay.
So I actually cut a piece of cardboard with the slot for the card, so when I could rest my hand, not have to worry about going off the edge of it.
Right.
So, but it was something different. When they approached me, which I thought was kind of weird, since I hadn't done any work for Marvel in, it's going on 15 years.
Presumably they had a list of characters.
To choose from, to which ones I could do whichever characters, as long as it was on that list.
Fun.
So yeah, it was interesting. I'm not sure if the results were. I'm sure there are people who do this more often, that the quality is probably incredible, but it was a nice learning experience, something different to do.
I'm not looking for a preview or a scoop. I'm just curious. Presumably you took photos or scans of these.
Yes.
For your own records. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe in a few months, if we have you on again, and those cards had come out, maybe you can show us a few.
Yeah, I have no idea when they're being released, but I knew that they were all due in this month. So I'm assuming by the end of the year that the packs will be out. I'm not sure.
And was Heroes Con your only convention this summer, Paul?
I'm going to be doing Terrificon coming up in a couple weeks in Connecticut.
Okay.
And got a couple. Looks like I'll be doing Detroit in November. So I've got a few shows coming up.
Mark and I think you might be a good fit at a G.I. Joe convention in the future.
Like I said, it's weird, because I had been approached, and then communication just kind of stopped. So I don't know if it's just because, I can't even imagine how much the planning process and the logistics of putting on a show, and judging from the pictures that I saw of Joe Fest, that's a lot of stuff to keep track of right there. So, I had been approached, but then all of a sudden communication stopped. So, maybe next year.
If not that, there are also smaller shows which might be a good fit and a fun weekend. So if we can make an introduction or give you the thumbs up that it'd be an interesting weekend, we will
absolutely
try to do that.
Sure.
Mark, should we talk about comics?
No.
Mark, you're muted.
Here we go. Yeah. So back to new new comic book day this week was 330 of G.I. Joe. Also out was Transformers issue 34. Very G.I. Joe heavy one. Lots of General Flag in that one. More Mask number 2. And also the reprint, the second printing of Mask issue 1 was out, as well as Void Rivals reprints. News out on SDCC 2026 was revealed, so head on over to our Facebook group to see all the details of that. So a few Skybound panels there, including Transformers and G.I. Joe and the Energon universe spotlight. So probably some interesting news from that.
Wait, go back a slide. I just have to read the title of this panel at Comic-Con International. Saturday, July 25. Transformers and G.I. Joe. The Energon universe is unstoppable. I appreciate that confidence on the part of Skybound's marketing team. That is a way to title, the next time, Mark, the next time you and I interview someone as Talking Joe for a panel at a convention, instead of being Talking Joe : and their name, or Talking Joe with so-and-so, I think we should use the word unstoppable.
Very good. There's an interesting sounding panel all about blind bags, chases, and the psychology of collecting. It sounds a little bit of an unusual one, but an interesting topic, particularly with the emergence of this blind bag trend that is sort of exploded in the last year.
Now, what exactly is a blind bag?
So a blind bag is a sealed bag which will contain a comic, and typically it will be inside will be a mystery comic, but from like a selection of potential like ratio comics. So a way of getting very rare comics and sort of just introducing a bit of a gamble into the process. And so you might get just standard cover A, but you might get a 1 in 500 version, or you might get an exclusive comic that can only be found in that blind bag. So for the Battle Beast blind bag, they had the artist Ryan Otley drawing on blank variant covers a number of just actual original art illustrations, which were only accessible as a kind of complete mystery chance fluke of getting one of those. And for Mask, it was very successful. With the release of issue number 1, they had a number of variant covers, but then they also included 3 exclusive comics. They had a sort of a reprint issue, sort of summarizing the Mask appearances to date prior to issue 1. They had an early look at issue number 2, and then they had a brand new comic, which was a first look at ROM issue number 1, which had not previously been announced.
Paul, where Mark says a first look of Mask number 2, what he means is issue 2. So it's possible that you buy the Mask issue number 1 blind bag, open it up, and you get issue 2, which is maybe disappointing if you didn't also just get a regular copy of Mask number 1. But I think an amazing feat, a really fun stunt on the part of Skybound. This is now the second time they've done it, where within issue number 1, you might also get you might get instead issue number 2.
So I should have copyrighted this thing, because this goes back 10 plus years, maybe more. I used to do something at shows. I would have my Pelletier party packs. I would take a manila envelope and I would put 5 different copies of anything I've drawn in the past for my comp copies, and I would put in an original sketch card, like not like a trading card size, bigger than that, but an original pencil sketch card, and throw that in there so they don't know what they're getting.
How much for these 5 comics and some art?
I would sell that for $40. So it would have an original sketch card and 5 comics.
Were you successful? Did they sell?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I still have people ask for, oh, do you have any of your party packs? And it's like, well, I usually would only bring them to shows that I could drive to. But yeah, I made scans of all the different sketches I've done. So I've done a whole bunch of them. So maybe I
Paul,
should go back into doing those again for shows.
have you published a personal sketchbook of your?
I have not. No, not yet.
Well, it sounds like you got a bunch of stuff on your hard drive ready to be included if you felt like doing a bunch of formatting and printing.
Yep, that's very true. So yeah, I've had a couple people, express interest in trying to put something together. So we'll see.
Mark, are there other panels at San Diego? Hey, it's that guy who writes that comic.
Yeah, it's Robert Kirkman live at SDCC. I think this is a regular occurrence now, and he'll be there on Thursday, July 23rd, with an hour talking about his latest writings, including Transformers and his new book with Andy Kubert and co, Terminal. So what else is in the waters? We've got A Real American Hero, the Hama Files, the latest solicit for that. We've been covering that as they have been coming out, and with their sort of new their reprint cover and also the new Mooneyham cover. So the latest one announced is issue 110, which unusually is the issue after the prior one that was released, which was 109. So this is a continuation of the Death in the Desert storyline with the Saw Viper versus the Joes, with this very in-your-face, literally in-your-face cover of the Saw Viper versus Duke, with they're both sort of holding pistols in one another's faces. So definitely not one that would have been allowed in the Devil's Due era of the comics. But again, another exciting cover.
This image must be the smallest weapon that Saw Viper has ever held. Just make a little G.I. Joe joke for you toy collectors out there. And then the next slide shows the original cover, right? The Ron Garney cover.
This is Ron Garney, I think inked by McLeod.
Yeah.
So that is us up to date with the news. So just covering a little bit of business from last time. This is actually, let me ask Paul, can you figure out what actually this super close up is that I put on screen?
Can I figure that out?
Yep.
Nope. No,
it's something you drew.
It's something you drew.
Is it something I drew, or is it something Tony inked in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure.
So this is the original drawing. This is from
Mark has just replaced a slide of a close up of an inked and colored panel with a blurry close up of a penciled panel.
I don't know if that helps Paul at all, but
that's for people listening at home.
This is a super close up of the name tag on Snake Eyes' uniform in the attic or loft of his mind. And we were sort of zoomed in and sort of stared at that name tag and trying to figure out, are those letters that are decipherable? And it looks a little bit like it might say Oliveira. And we're like, ooh, is that Snake Eyes' surname? And we wondered to ourselves what it might look like in the original pencils. So subsequently, you've put on your website, Paul Pelletier Arts.com, the original pencils for that page. And it does look a little bit less like legible letters in the original pencils. So I think in the process of the inks and the colors, it sort of tightened up a little bit into slightly more recognizable letters. But I don't know, Paul, as you were drawing this particular tiny details on a particular panel, you wondered whether you might set Joe fans a flurry with trying to figure out what that name might be.
No, I don't know if Diane is still in the chat, but she can tell you. I've complained often that I'm a lousy letterer. So I mean, that's what you're seeing there. I'm just terrible at lettering. So
that's your best handwriting.
Paul, is it possible that in Larry Hama's plot, he said he wrote something like the name tag is indecipherable, or don't include a specific name?
I'm trying to remember exactly how big. I mean, that's like super small. So I mean, it's,
but you are drawing on 11 by 17, right?
Yeah, but that's within a panel of several panels on a page. So at least I assume so.
Right.
But yeah. That's no, I apologize to the Joe fans.
No. I think we're sort of relieved because Snake Eyes' name, his file name, has always been classified in the comics and in the toys. And if, Larry Hama has a real name for him, he hasn't revealed it. And if he was going to reveal it, it might be here, but Mark and I suspect that if so, it would be a little bit more of a scene. And so we suspected that we were not supposed to be able to read it.
Right. Yeah. It's more of a tease than anything else.
But we appreciate this exercise of that's probably not a tease. It's probably a tease and not something that we're meant to worry about. Let's talk about it anyway.
For context, there's the full page, I think, of how that jacket appeared originally on the screen.
And the pencils on this page are much more. Mark, can you go back? Much more open. There's sort of less like inking to be done because it's in the mindscape.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Lot less black.
Really.
As we live in the mindscape, as you say.
Right. I was trying to do something a little different, and that's why I think, especially with Mindbender and the Alpha, blah blah blah, whatever its name is. That's why I have the borders looking a little more like a computer thing, because they've kind of jacked themselves into Snake's mind attic for the most part. So
Diana Davis says in the comments of Larry Hama's writing in his plots, it's pretty simple, usually something like, quote, his uniform is on a hanger, unquote.
Right.
So a description, but not too much of a description.
Yeah, I mean, they're for the most part, like on that page, Larry will point out specific things. Like if you look at that page in the first panel, you got like a Doors album, and I think there's a Creedence Clearwater Revival, but he'll mention specifics like that. But everything else, it's like, just have fun with it, I guess. Just do all kinds of different things.
Those medals on the left side and the brass knuckle knife, those were probably also specific call-outs in the Hama plot.
And last time there was a little bit of discussion around Sean having it being revealed that he also possessed Snake Eyes' memories, with that not having been really made a point of in the previous plots. So I was just going to sort of shout out that Diana had shared on the Talkie Joe Facebook page and beyond, in a couple of places, a bit of a kind of a narrative around the fact, explaining the fact that Sean had been in the brainwave scanner in the pages of 298, and so it wasn't necessarily such a leap that in that process, there might have been a leak of some Snake Eyes memories into Sean. Although I remain sort of the position that it feels like there was a little bit of a narrative gap there, that it could have been a bit clearer that is what happened, and sort of just make tightening that up a bit. But for the purposes of sort of enjoying the story and moving forward with it, I'll just accept the light retcon or the light explanation and go and sort of just accept, yes, okay, Sean now has a bit of Snake Eyes' memories, or at least the Easter egg bit of that memory in his brain somewhere, and that's what we need to believe to understand the story and just move forward with it. So that's
let's be honest now. If any comic book series that has more than 300 issues, you're probably going to have a few continuity things, little hiccups here and there. So.
But Larry Hama has said in many interviews and on many panels that G.I. Joe is just this ongoing retcon, right? And the example he often goes to is issue 21, where late in the comic, Storm Shadow is revealed to have a tattoo, and then Snake Eyes has that same tattoo. And then several issues later, he figures out what it means. Like, oh, well, they're brothers. They train together, and that's always been the case. And I didn't know it 5 months ago when I wrote into issue 21, but now I know it when I'm writing and drawing issue 26. So even as far back as then.
So who knows? Maybe if I goof up in something art-wise, down the road, it will be explained as to why it was goofed up. So
I think that is a reasonable assumption.
And there we go.
Mm-hmm. And yes, Squishy points out that Sean's memories can be explored in a future issue, flashbacks to 301 and everything that happened in that turbulent time. It's a good point. We don't see very much of Sean, aka Throwdown, post 301. There's the kind of he attends the funeral of his father, and then pretty much disappears from the story until sort of resurfacing for this particular arc. So there might be some interesting ground that can be explored, which sort of fits in with this kind of this narrative of him being subjected to Snake Eyes' memories.
I propose a separate side miniseries written by Larry Hama. It can be called G.I. Joe Throwdown, and it's 4 issues, and it's a Sean adventure that maybe regular Snake Eyes and Dawn are in, and it can touch on some of this stuff. And then I get additional G.I. Joe comics every month for a couple of months. Great idea, Tim. You're welcome.
Not asking
this is
too
your
much.
Maybe Paul can draw some of it, or all of it. Or maybe Paul's drawing the regular book and someone else can draw it. I like this idea. Skybound, if you're listening.
Yeah, maybe Dave Wachter can draw that one.
Oh, there you
We're
go.
full of good ideas.
Very good. There we go. I'd love a Sean and Laura 343 miniseries. That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great, Diana. Great.
That would be great, Diana.
Give me hope, Diana. So we're talking today about G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, 330, and it is brought to us by, let's call it the regular creative team of writer Larry Hama, artist Paul Pelletier, inker Tony Kordos, colorist Francesco Segala, with Sabrina del Grosso on flats, letterer Pat Brousseau, editor Alex Antone, with assistant editor Caitlin Chappell. Publication design is Jillian Crab, production design Richard Mercardo, and creative consultant is Diana Davis, who is with us in the chat as we speak. So with that said, let's move on to the things that they plop on the front of these things that we call covers.
Let's have a look at the covers in the gallery.
Cover A is drawn by Lee Weeks and colored by Dave Stewart. We are looking at Scarlett and Timber from Snake Eyes' point of view, but it's an emotional POV shot and not a literal physical one, because the, quote, camera is actually sitting on the ground at ankle height. We're looking past Snake Eyes' leg. He's crouching a bit because his arm and a dagger are coming into the image from the top behind the logo. He's knocked out in sort of a dark gray, green, blue, along with a bit of foreground. And then everything else in the cover is 10 or 15 feet away. Scarlett is crouched on the ground, injured, looking back at Snake Eyes, being guarded by an angry and defensive Timber who is growling. They're in the woods. There's some trees and then some green foliage in the background. And this is all taking place at sunset. The color cast of this whole cover, minus the foreground Snake Eyes, is a pinkish orange. And Lee Weeks has never drawn a bad cover, and Lee Weeks continues to never draw a bad cover. This is a great cover. It asks a question. The question is answered on the inside, and I'm worried about the character who is in danger on the cover.
Just too bad what I drew on the insides doesn't really match what's going on the cover. So,
but in everyone's defense, Lee Weeks drew this in advance, right, for catalogs, and covers are allowed to be exaggerations.
Well,
Also,
no,
this-
I mean it's pretty close. It's just like some of the specifics. As far as
well, I do want her in her costume on a cover. That's more exciting. to me.
right. Oh, exactly. No,
Yeah, I think
Lee's
that's,
Lee's fantastic. He's keeping on the tradition of the beautiful Kubert covers beforehand. So
Right.
yeah, can't go wrong with either one of them.
I think there's basically a comic book rule, which is that if the character is in like civvies on the inside or some variant of their costume, they're allowed to be in their actual costume on the front cover to make it more exciting.
Because you know what?
You see, she's grasping her arm, and there's hint of
there's
blood on her
blood,
fingers.
You know what a G.I. Joe character it looks like out of their costume in civilian clothes. They look like anybody. Cover B is a black and white version of this from Lee Weeks' art with no colors. It's also great, and the sort of the light and dark balance. There's a much bigger contrast because there isn't this sunset pink orange, but in its own way, it is just as striking, if not more, and it really makes you appreciate. I really love the directional lines that Weeks is inking on Snake Eyes' calf, on his thigh, and on Timber's torso and sort of cheeks, where Weeks is using a brush and modeling the shape of a muscle or some fur on a body.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much of this is traditional media versus digital media. Have you got any ideas, Paul?
I don't know how much Lee does digitally. I think he does most of his. He might have done the grayscales, but
the gray is quite a
I think
Uniform.
more than
Uniform,
likely
thank you.
he probably did the inks and the pencils, actually on paper. Then he probably did the grayscales in Photoshop or some program.
He does post images to social media of his convention sketches or commissions, and those are certainly on paper in Bristol, and they're amazing.
Oh yeah,
very good.
it's funny because the first time I got a chance to meet Lee was years ago at a show, and people were saying, "Yeah, Lee Weeks is excited to meet you," and I'm like, "Why? Why? This is Lee Weeks. Why is he excited to meet me?" So when we finally met, he's like, "You're from Maine. I grew up in Maine." So we're both Mainers, and we had that in common. So I just thought it was the weirdest thing. It's like, why does Lee Weeks want to be excited to meet me? That doesn't make any sense. But,
You're the main man.
Yep.
Mark, a question that you're wondering and didn't ask: if I had Lee Weeks draw something for me at a convention, would it be a G.I. Joe character? It might just be Captain America or Daredevil. Cover C is a 1-in-10 ratio variant. It is painted by Steve Beach. This continues. Oh, does this wrap up, or do we have one more?
I think this might be the last one in the series.
Okay, the Gears of Joe series, which features a character and a vehicle. This is at night, so the background is all black. It's Storm Shadow in the air attached to, Mark, is that the Viper glider? Yes, Mark is nodding his head yes. Shaking his head yes. And he's lit from off panel. It's not a spotlight, but it is a pure white light, so there's no sort of color temperature here. There's the white of Storm Shadow, and there's the green of the glider. And he is firing an arrow from his bow, and there are 5 bullet holes on the Viper, which to me says that the Viper is sort of metal. And I never had this toy as a kid, and my only experience with it is like watching the ad for the toy on YouTube, or where it shows up in the first 5 or 10 episodes of the animated series. I always kind of thought this was cloth, like that in the reality it's cloth. Mark, you have any thoughts? Is the Viper glider cloth or metal?
I think it's neither. It's very fragile, I believe.
I don't mean the
prone
toy.
to break. Oh, right.
I mean the thing
the actual
in G.I.
thing.
Joe.
It's cardboard. It's cardboard.
Yeah,
Cardboard does not hold up well to bullets.
Yeah, in reality, it would be like a light a light wood with a kind of fabric
Like
as the
canvas.
frame, and
Okay.
like a fabric canvas. I would have thought.
I'm not saying this to pick on Steve Beach, the artist. I think it's cool that he painted this as metal, if I'm reading this correctly. This also says to me that this is Storm Shadow as a Joe, because he does not have his Cobra insignia, and he's on a Joe vehicle. And this is, again, where I betray how little I actually know about the 82 toys, or the 83 toys. Was there a version for Joe and for Cobra? Was there a blue one for Cobra? Okay. So this is Storm Shadow as a Joe, not as a Cobra.
Yeah, this is 3D Joe's. You can see the toy. This is the Cobra version, which is the blue with the green being the Joe one, which is sort of shown on the background of the Cobra packaging.
I love that cover because it looks like the rider's being squashed by it on the cover. That's
it does look a bit like it's flopped down on top of him.
This metal wing is so heavy. If only they did it out of canvas.
Yeah.
That cover with Storm Shadow on the picture.
It's unacceptable. Look, G.I. Joe is beating us in the snow.
G.I. Joe is fighting Cobra the enemy on land, the sea, and air. G.I. Joe, the American hero.
And he's beating us in the air.
Joe's chasing Cobra in a desperate race, soaring and diving in a great sky chase. A real American hero.
There's only one man who can help us.
It's him.
What's in store for G.I. Joe? Find out in Marvel Comics.
Hey, that's fun. It's Chris Latta doing both voices and having not yet found his Cobra Commander voice.
Huh. So there we go. That's the glider.
I'm thinking the glide, it looks probably like a fabric, and at least according to that very detailed cartoon.
I mean, I guess by the time it's metal, then it becomes the claw, which was introduced in issue 21, which is a separate vehicle accessory. Mark, are there any retailer exclusive variant covers for issue 330?
There are some retailer exclusives, which includes this one. Oh no!
Why are there so many covers of Baroness?
So this is, and Squishy points out that covers don't need to match the contents. You can have Baroness on the cover, every cover, even if she isn't in the issue. So this first.
Wrong.
That's not two G.I. Joe fan pundits saying that. That's regular series artist Paul Pelletier saying it.
Well,
comics professional.
Variant covers, you can do whatever you want, but I think the actual cover itself should have something to do with the interiors.
Mark, who are these by?
So this one is the 616 Comics variant by Drax Gal. So you've got Baroness with a small snake eye sort of creeping up on her in the background, holding his sword. And there's just a Virgin variant and a foil variant as well, which is sort of coloured with a bit more of a kind of a red-purple sheen with a hint of rain there on that one as well. Next up is another Baroness cover, limited to 500 by Francesco Tomaselli.
Play that jingle again.
Again.
Diana says it's getting to the point that Baroness is going to start popping up on like Spider-Man covers.
But yeah, quite a nice playful expression there from Baroness.
We will be talking about a famously sexy woman showing up in a particular issue of G.I. Joe later in this episode, I think, who, like the Baroness, has a history of sexy covers. More on that in a bit.
Then we've got this is KRS Comics with a Storm Shadow variant by Tony Trophy, which will be available at San Diego Comic Con. And then Alex Ogle. This is a FarleyCon Pop Culture and Comic Book Expo exclusive cover. A lot of G.I. Joe content and guests at FarleyCon. So this one will be available there and also available at greybeardcomics.net.
This one looks like
I can see Scarlett saying, "Give me a hug."
Well, this one does have Scarlet and Snake Eyes sort of in conflict.
There maybe a variant of this could be the Baroness attacking the Baroness. But seriously, this is Scarlet midair having jumped at Snake Eyes. Each has two weapons. There's a spotlight in the background, and they're in front of a metal wall, which looks kind of like the 1982 G.I. Joe headquarters.
Yeah, with the sort of cannon thing that they've got above it, and the structure of the all of the metal work and rivets, etc. That's definitely what they're going for. And then this is an interesting one. We've got Bart Sears, who did a variant. He's got a bit of a history with G.I. Joe. This one was available via DA Comics as a Whatnot exclusive. He shared a variant version of that cover and the black and white art. And when they were doing their Whatnot, they also did have a limited edition print of that. So I've put on the screen a screen print of what the Whatnot screen looked like. So this is like a real-time auction. So they'll put on a comic on the screen to buy, and you can buy it while they're live, is mostly how that works. And they shared this photo of a row of his comics all laid out with a pretty blue signature. Thoughts on this one, Tim?
Let me just say two quick things to describe this cover. Snake Eyes is standing behind Scarlet. His stance is straight, but I'm just going to say he seems evil, and Scarlet's looking over her shoulder with her eyebrow cocked, with some black structural wall stuff behind them and a red light and some smoke. Bart Sears, you all know, of course, worked at Hasbro. After he went to the Joe Kubert School, he designed a couple of G.I. Joe action figures in the 88 line after doing some in-house presentation paintings for the G.I. Joe line. And then he designed Cops, and then he drew for DC Comics for many years. So Bart Sears...
And then he was forced to work at CrossGen with me. So,
I don't think anyone was forced to work there. I mean, forced to stay there, but everyone went of their own volition, right? But folks, it's really fun. So IDW, late in its run, did have one variant cover of G.I. Joe drawn by Bart Sears, and I so wanted to buy it, but that was the version of Roadblock with no mustache, and that's not Roadblock to me, so I didn't buy it. But it's really good to have Bart Sears, who is one of these Hasbro guys who worked on the original 80s G.I. Joe toy line, doing some covers, doing at least one cover. And I hope there are more coming. And I would love it if Skybound decided to hire him to do some regular covers and not just some retailer exclusive variant covers. And
this one has a sort of a fun rhyming with this earlier Andy Kubert cover, in terms of it being kind of like a full shot of Snake Eyes with a kind of reddy purple background as well. Paul, have you been asked to do any covers? Would you have time to do a cover if they asked you?
Oh, I'm sure I could squeeze one in, but it's not something that ever gets brought up. So
wait a minute.
So now they keep taunting me with people that I've been friends with over the years doing covers. It's like Bart. So
wait. When we were at Joe Fest 2 weeks ago, Brett Carreras, as Larry Hama's handler at the Larry Hama table, was selling the Skybound G.I. Joe Real American Hero soft covers.
Right.
And those have the regular like Andy Kubert covers, and then there's a direct market exclusive which has a different cover. And one of them, the cover was a Dr. Mindbender drawing, and I could have sworn it was by you.
It was.
So did you do a G.I. Joe cover?
No. No, that was a piece I had done for a Kickstarter.
Oh.
Yeah.
For cards. It was a card set. And they used the artwork from the card as a cover.
Okay. So, all right. So the big Kickstarter campaign for the box set with the 4 hardcover compendia, where some current and returning G.I. Joe artists drew new art for trading cards. That was an add-on tier. That was one of yours. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I did a Mindbender and a SCARLETT card, and that was what It was a couple years back when I first got on the book, I think.
Right.
So, but yeah, so that was, so I mean, technically, I didn't actually draw a cover. They just used that card art as a cover on the trade.
Cool.
Yeah, you didn't draw a cover. You drew a card, which became a cover.
Right.
So,
exactly. Yep.
And Diana points out, I don't know if we call this an error detected, but Diana points out that for the Snake Eyes and Scarlet in battle, and also on this Bart Sears one, in the current continuity, only Throwdown has an Arashikage logo on his shoulder, and not the clone Snake Eyes.
So I've learned over the last couple issues. So.
All right, so
I'm terrible with keeping track of all the symbols and the insignias on the costumes. So Diana's been instrumental in making sure that that stuff is we're trying to stay consistent. So
well, if a cover is an exaggeration of what happens on the inside, then I'll say that a retailer exclusive variant cover can be even more of an exaggeration, and maybe it just got the Baroness and she's not in the issue. Mark, what's next?
Shall we can address the first elephant in the room? Maybe we can talk about the old raid, the raiding of the tombs.
It's air detected. No, sorry. Spoilers ahead.
Oh yeah. Let's do that from this point onwards. So where is my thing to play? It is this one.
Watch out! There's spoilers ahead! Turn back before it's too late!
So the spoiler comes with the announcement of a second printing of this particular issue, which just the announcement came out just the other day. So following the surprise guest appearance in this particular issue with, spoilers, Lara Croft and her historic first appearance in G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, she will be back in a limited series that we'll talk about in a little bit. But before then, we will see her as on the front cover of the second printing to issue 330 with a brand new cover by Chris Mooneyham, and this cover will be released on August the 12th, 2026. So yeah, great looking, fun cover from Mooneyham.
I think the immediate first question. All right, so sometimes when Mark and I do an episode, we start by talking about the beginning of an issue, and sometimes we talk about our overall reactions. And today we just need to talk about the last 2 pages of this comic book, because there's a particular silhouette who's monologuing to herself on the second to last page. And then on the last page, there's, in a regular in continuity Larry Hama issue of G.I. Joe, there is Lara Croft Tomb Raider. And so rather than say, Mark, oh my gosh, let's talk about this. What do you think? Have you played the game? Did you see the movies? I want to ask Paul. Yes. Can you tell us about this? Do you have any history with this character or brand? And was there anything special involved in drawing these 2 pages? Because there was another thing involved. So the 3 questions.
Let's see. The first one was when I got the original script, there was no, these last 2 pages weren't in it. And Alex contacted me and says, we're going to have 2 more pages added on at the end. When we get the script out, we'll send them to you. So I actually drew those after the issue was done. So it was kind of a last second thing. Second part, the only game system I have right now is a PlayStation 2. And I've got the first couple Tomb Raider games, but I haven't played them yet. So I've had them for years, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and play them yet. And what was the third part of it?
Was there anything different or special involved in drawing these 2 pages because there's an additional rights holder involved?
Right. If I had to redraw a couple small things on that last page, but it just went through a different licensor, so they had a couple notes on the page.
Is this
that was pretty much it?
Is this like, no, that her belt buckle is on the left and the strap is on the right? This is like a
No,
small
well,
thing like that.
no, the costume stuff was right. They had a comment about the original version. She looked a little too masculine in the last panel, and for the big shot, there was a comment that that I'm sure Diana Davis would not have appreciated too much. So let's just say I hadn't drawn certain parts of her large enough. So.
Okay.
Right.
So
emphasize certain polygons.
Exactly. So, but that was basically it. I mean, it wasn't like huge things to tweak.
So I'm gonna
no pun intended, but geez.
I'm gonna rain on someone's parade. Paul, when it's time to try and sell this page,
it's gone.
Oh, I was gonna say charge more than your normal pages.
Yeah, there was someone in the chat earlier. I don't know if he's still in the chat or not, but yeah, there's someone that was in the chat earlier that actually bought the page.
Wow. Well, congratulations to that new art owner.
Mm-hmm.
Well done.
At least I saw his name pop up saying something about appreciating what I had done on the issue, but yeah.
All right, so now I want to take a half a step back. Yeah, Mark. Yeah.
I was just going to say, yeah, it stands. Looking at the original art, it's looking at the book itself. It stood out that this was an additional 2 pages because this is a 22-page comic rather than a 2-page comic. Sorry, 20-page comic as normal. And looking at the original art, those described as teaser page 1 and 2 rather than just pages 21 and 22. And I'll sort of share the what I think the look is based on. That there's a new Tomb Raider game called Legacy of Atlantis that I believe is meant to be out next year, and the design of what we're seeing for Lara Croft here is very much in keeping with that. You can look at the belt buckle. She's got kind of this jade green necklace. She's got a distinctive clip on her backpack. So I think this is kind of the model that we're working towards as the modern Tomb Raider character. So I'm assuming that you had some specific reference that you were given to work from to kind of match the look, and it might have even been this image.
No, actually I haven't seen this piece, but
okay.
No, they did send me specific ref to go by, and it looked like video game shots or at least model sheets for a video game.
Paul,
and how much after the rest of the issue did these pages come? And the question is as well, are these definitely written by Larry Hama? Because we know that the next series is going to be written by somebody else.
No, I'm pretty sure it was Larry who wrote them. And I think it was only probably within a week after I had finished the issue when the last 2 pages came in. It was pretty quick.
Paul, have you drawn intercompany crossovers before?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think the closest I ever did was a poster I had done for Malibu Comics back in 1992. It was for the San Diego Comic-Con. It was like all the Malibu characters spread across a huge poster.
Okay.
But otherwise than that, I don't think so.
In some ways, that's a more exciting answer than yes.
Yep.
Okay, so now I want to step back to sort of my normal position and say to Mark, Mark, oh my goodness, this is such a surprise. How do you feel? How were you reacting this past week as the news was coming out? What do you think of this scene? Mark?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't necessarily such a massive surprise. There had been kind of rumors sort of circulating that there might be a big guest appearance, a surprise guest appearance in 330. So I was a little bit steeled for something, but I was like, I don't know how this guest appearance would necessarily fit with the ongoing story with the Snake Eyes brainwashing, and it doesn't necessarily feel like you'd throw that in as a particularly organic part of the story, and I guess it didn't. It just was 2 extra pages at the end of the story, and I think that it's Skybound being brilliant again of sort of whipping up a lot of interest and excitement and surprise, because after all, Lara Croft isn't necessarily something that's brand new to comics, and if you think of Lara Croft Tomb Raider comics, you don't necessarily think of necessarily massively successful hot books that sort of set the industry on fire. So I think they've done a good job at introducing the character into comics, and sort of creating a little bit of additional excitement for it, sort of seeding the idea, and it's sort of not necessarily coming out of nowhere, because there had been a tease that there would be a Tomb Raider G.I. Joe crossover, and also as part of Yojo June, a render release of the Lara Croft classified figure. So they're sort of doing this crossover in both the classified toy world, as well as sort of just doubling down and sort of building out the brand by doing something in the comics and sort of adding a bit more story to it. And I think the exciting bit for me, particularly around what they were doing with the Lara Croft story, was sort of seeding it into the G.I. Joe world in an more interesting way by connecting it to some of the history. So that sort of the freighter, sitting at the bottom of Cobra Island somewhere with all of the dead cobras inside, by her being on some sort of quest to find something in the freighter, connects it to that G.I. Joe lore, and a nice, an interesting and mysterious part of G.I. Joe lore that would be fun to revisit. So I think they've done an amazing job, and it isn't necessarily something that, as a reader, I would have demanded or expected or anything else, but being given it, I'm here for it, I think.
It's helpful that you bring up the action figure, because I'd either missed that or I only barely caught it and then forgotten it. So this then looks to me like this is is it Eidos, EIDOS? Is that the video game company that owns Lara Croft? Or maybe I'm years behind and they used to and someone else does. But this feels like a Hasbro deal with a video game company first, and then
Crystal Dynamics is the person they credit.
Okay, thank you. And then maybe Skybound comes along at a later stage. If this was Skybound's idea, thumbs up. But so you just mentioned the Arbco Star, the freighter. That's the landlocked freighter, which we're the covered issue 98 actually of G.I. Joe. We're in the freighter, and then that subplot tied up a few issues later. All right, so my reaction is I think it's great. I'm not a video game person. I'm not a Lara Croft's Tomb Raider person. I know there are 3 movies and a TV show, and I haven't seen any of them. But once you put this character right next to or in G.I. Joe, I realize, oh, that's actually a really good fit. Like 20 years ago, I feel like the line was, oh, Lara Croft is like female Indiana Jones, except Indiana Jones is in the past and Tomb Raider is contemporary. But she looks like a Joe, and all it takes is one word balloon where she mentions shipwreck. And I thought, yeah. Also, I'm reminded of 2 recent crossovers, relatively recent. Let's say 10 years ago from IDW, there's the Street Fighter X G.I. Joe miniseries. And there's the G.I. Joe $6 Million Man miniseries. And neither of those were written by Larry Hama. Each was very different from each other. And neither really moved the needle to my view. But I'm always interested in something which can expand the G.I. Joe brand. If it's a new toy line, a new show, a new movie, big stuff, absolutely. If it's a sort of a nostalgic or sort of archiving thing, like a wildly successful Kickstarter campaign for comics reprints, that's very exciting. If it's something that's smaller and more sort of targeted, like one action figure and one comic book event, that's not going to be huge like a movie, but that could be just enough to get, 5,000, 10,000 people that weren't paying attention, 2,000 people who weren't paying attention to G.I. Joe. And let's say specifically my G.I. Joe, the Real American Hero G.I. Joe, as much as I love the Energon universe, to pay attention to G.I. Joe. And I really like that. And, all these other brands that I love are getting all these crossovers. There's a Scooby-Doo Transformer, there's a Ecto-1 Ghostbusters Transformer. And then, finally there's this Ninja Turtles G.I. Joe crossover toy line, which is so much fun. And here's this Tomb Raider G.I. Joe comics crossover. And Kyle Higgins is a little off my radar, but I just want to make sure I get the name right. Elena Casagrande, who drew this Black Widow series that Kelly Thompson wrote that I really liked. That's a cool fit for this. And if it's definitely in the Larry Hama Real American Hero universe, great. If it's squint and you can pretend it's in the Larry Hama Real American Hero universe and, like Hama's never going to refer to it, great. If there's a little bit more crossover and like after the miniseries, Lara Croft shows up for 2 more pages in the Larry Hama book and she's like, thanks, Shipwreck. Just so that like volume 6 and volume 7 of the paperbacks can have a little bit of bookend. Great. And I said this over and over, Skybound makes really good comics with very strong writing and art and color and lettering and editorial. And I don't look at this, and this doesn't feel like, as a very general comics reader, if I saw this, not as a G.I. Joe person, I wouldn't say, yes, I was kind of interested in each of them, and now I'm much more interested in both of them at the same time. It's not that, right? Whereas maybe like a Marvel DC crossover, you're like, why, they haven't done this in 20 years, right? I have to see what they do this time. But as a G.I. Joe fan, I am thrilled. And also, Mark, it gives us some extra episodes to record. We'll have a very busy, was it October?
Yeah, so this one is being released as a 5-issue limited series, right. Released on October the 7th. And we'll have more to say about this soon. I have one last little thing to say, which is just in one sentence, a sort of highlight history of Lara Croft and comics. And we'll do this again when we actually get to reviewing this miniseries. I'm skipping one-shots and like 2-issue character crossovers, but they're basically 3 Lara Croft Tomb Raider series, right? Top Cow and Image had a series that started in 1999, ran for 50 issues, 50. And that series was mostly written and drawn by men. And I would describe the arts as leaning towards the male gaze, right? And then in 2014, Dark Horse got the license and tried 2 ongoing series, 18 issues and 12 issues. These were written by women, and the covers were less about Lara Croft in like bathing suits. And there was also a 4-issue miniseries that actually just wrapped up a few months ago here in 2026. And so this is someone who has had, compared to some other brands, kind of a long, rich history in comics, but certainly G.I. Joe is the much bigger brand here in comics, but not in video games. And, more recently, maybe they sort of tie in popular culture with movies and TV. Cool. So yeah, more to come when that is out. If you want to read the full press release, etc., then you can head on over to the Talking Joe Facebook group. So getting into the detail of this issue, and again with a spoiler warning, let's do a little bit of a plot breakdown.
Plot breakdown.
An Easter egg has been implanted in the minds of Clone Snake Eyes, Dawn, and Sean, and it has been simultaneously activated. In the High Sierras, Clone Snake Eyes changes into his costume and attacks Scarlett and Timber. They run away into the storm, pursued by Bear. Snake Eyes is able to enter the attic of his mind and disarm the Easter egg in time to regain control and save Scarlett from the bear. At the pit, Dawn has disappeared, but she is tracked from the control center and boxed in by shutting the blast doors. I'm sure that problem has been taken care of and won't crop up in a future issue. In Darklonia, Sean has gone berserk, attacking the blue ninjas. Blingers. Beachhead and Helix figure out that Snake Eyes' implanted memories are from a time before he was before they were Joes, so he wouldn't know who they are, and they tell him to attack the Blingers, saying that they are G.I. Joes. But once they are defeated, will he still believe them? Elsewhere, in Castle Destro, Scotland, Lara Croft, aka Tomb Raider, enters Destro's bedchambers. He is not there, but she finds a clue that will lead her to G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, X Tomb Raider, Issue 1, on sale everywhere, October 2026. So, there we go. First observation, Paul, the last page of issue 329. It's Snake Eyes.
What are you going to observe?
he's ready to do some logging there in his checkered shirt and jeans. Page one of this particular issue, he's pulling on his face mask, ready to attack. How did you approach this particular dilemma of transitioning Snake Eyes into his costume? We are dealing with comics here. I'm not making this a thing, but as a question for the artist, these kind of challenges, they probably play on you. What did you think?
It's comic books. They don't have to make sense. No, it was the kind of thing that was brought up. I'm trying to think more towards the end of the issue. Well, I think it might have been Diana that said mentioned that, or Tony, one of them. And it's like, meh,
it's comics.
Yeah, it's comics. What the heck?
I'm gonna agree here. I know Mark and I in the past have sometimes spent a lot of oxygen on small and interesting and uninteresting continuity errors or shifts. I'm just gonna agree here with Paul. Yeah.
And from I guess that from a psychological perspective, if Snake Eyes is he's shifting from one persona to another, and he's potentially going to do a bad thing. I guess putting on that uniform, covering his face and hiding his eyes, makes an awful lot of sense from that sort of psychology perspective as well.
Well, and then let's face facts. I mean, would we have wanted an entire issue of Snake Eyes where he was in a flannel shirt?
I certainly don't want them in their civilian clothes on the cover. From a writing perspective, Larry Hama did a small thing here on page 2. Panel 3, Scarlett says, "And why aren't you speaking?" Which I thought was a really nice touch, that during this attack when he's been turned evil, Snake Eyes stops talking. And then there's this added detail, which is up for a little bit of interpretation. I think just sort of emotional interpretation, that the first 2 panels on this second page of issue 330, he does have word balloons, but it's just a series of periods, which it's funny. You sort of ask someone who reads comics, what does that actually mean? Or what's the actual sound? And I think everyone knows what it means, but it's a little hard to describe. It's not quite an exhale. It's a pregnant pause. If someone isn't wearing a mask,
almost the absence of speech.
It's not just someone
being called out.
It's not just Snake Eyes saying ...
He's not doing Morse code.
But it does slow down the reader and fill in the space in a particular but slightly hard to define way. I'd made that comment in a letters page way back when, that the flashbacks to Snake Eyes in Vietnam and after Vietnam, or during Vietnam in G.I. Joe comics by Larry Hama, Snake Eyes could speak, but he doesn't, which I thought was always a choice on Larry Hama's part, that we're just never going to hear him speak, even back when he could, because that's who the character is now. And this is sort of a version of that he can speak now, but he's not going to, because he's this sort of boiled down version of Snake Eyes, or he's been turned evil. And it's sort of like, in a cartoon, when a character whose eyes can't glow red, but they just glow red when they turn evil, you're like, yeah, they turned evil, right? It's like, I sure wish Rob Liefeld did one fun thing that I wish someone else had thought of first in his Snake Eyes Dead Game miniseries, where Rob Liefeld had Snake Eyes' costume like be a different color. I think it's like white for the Arctic scene, and then it's red when he's taken over by the spirit of Thor or something. I don't remember. And I wish that could happen here. It's like his eyes are glowing red, his costume is red. It's not just that he puts on his costume magically between two panels. It's that his costume is now like there's a blinking sign that says evil Snake Eyes. Ding, 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 evil Snake Eyes.
Magic of comics.
Magic of comics.
Yep.
We've got this, the storm happening outside. In the pencils, we could see the rain and the boxes there of what we thought was a lightning flash happening at times. That we're getting illuminations of lightning sort of coming through and sort of lighting up the room. It's Snake Eyes is launching into an attack on Scarlett, rather brutally hurling poor Timber across the room, and sort of, Timber is coming to Scarlett's defense. Before we flash back to the pits where the Joes kind of searching for Dawn, and also trying to figure kind of out what has been happening as well. And it's sort of Stalker kind of figures out that actually this might not be Stalker. So Stalker calls out Snake Eyes, Dawn, Sean are all loaded with the original Snake Eyes memories with the brainwaves scanner. So let's roll with that. But there's a sort of a bit of a question mark there as to where these memories come from and when, from like a continuity point of view. It seems to be implying here that the memories specifically that are held by these three characters are from issue number 10, which is interesting in terms of if the new clone Snake Eyes' memories were purely just from issue number 10 in continuity, and he doesn't have any of the memories post that point. That's an awful lot of the original Snake Eyes' memories that he's missing, because you've got like the likes of issue 21, you've got the likes of issue 26 where he's confronting Storm Shadow, you've got the resolution of who killed the Hard Master, resolving with Storm Shadow, finding out it was Zartan and Firefly, all of this kind of thing. So I think there's a potential for leading us in a certain direction, which I'm going to choose to kind of ignore. It's never been made explicitly clear where's the original Snake Eyes' memories, what is the clone Snake Eyes' memories, what the restore point is, what does he remember up to, they've sort of almost treated him like he's just the original Snake Eyes and not worried too much about the small stuff, like what does he remember. My kind of no prize to it is that potentially what we've got here is an Easter egg time bomb planted at the moment of issue number 10, and Venom has said these particular Joes who are currently Joes are your enemies and you should attack them, rather than it necessarily being that is the entirety of the memories that have been restored into Snake Eyes' the various Snake Eyes' memories. And I've got a bit of an explainer or of a flashback to Brainwave and Snake Eyes over the years. So issue number 10 is what we're sort of referencing here, and that's when Snake Eyes was originally in the basement in Springfield, attached to this wonderful sort of Kirby-esque device, and sort of originally that's when the brainwave scanner was introduced to us as the audience. That I think the next big interaction with Snake Eyes and the brainwave scanner was G.I. Joe Yearbook, where once again he was plugged into it. So that's much later on in the run. This is basically the beginning of the Ron Wagner era. So, you know, post a lot of that resolution of activity with Storm Shadow. And then at the beginning of the IDW run, he's once again is plugged into a brainwave scanner. So there's another point where Snake Eyes memory could potentially have been backed up from, and this is, so it's quite far into the continuity. And then again he's sort of plugged in sort of towards the beginning of that era. And then as clues as to what does Dawn remember of her of Snake Eyes memories. So they've been relatively light on it, but they have shown that she remembers the events of issue 21. So in the Silent Castle, this is from the Netho Diaz Dawn of the Arashikage sort of issue, where she flashes back to the events of 21 in her memories. And then she also confronts Firefly, knowing that he killed the Hardmaster, and also has this moment of remembering the events from issue 21 where the original Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow had a fight on the top of a train. And then in 299, when the clone gets his memories, we don't get too many clues about that restore point, what he knows, what he doesn't know. But on this one particular page, it sort of gives a hint as to what memories are going in, and we get a glimpse of issue 26 or 27, where they have Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow have that roofed the train top battle, and they also have this flashback to Snake Eyes and Scarlett on the Staten Island ferry, which is kind of from the mid-issue 30s. So it sort of indicates that this clone Snake Eyes does have memories beyond just issue number 10. So that is my, in a nutshell, revisiting of Snake Eyes and the brainwave scanner, and what he may or may not have in his rattling about in his head.
Mark, am I misremembering? Baroness, Storm Shadow, and Billy are strapped into the brainwave scanner in, is it 150? Is Snake Eyes also?
Yeah, I don't believe that he's actually brainwashed at that point. It's just Billy brainwashed. Billy, Baroness, Storm Shadow.
Okay.
That's a great character name, Billy Brainwash. I like it.
Actually sounds like someone from the Cops and Crooks line. Speaking of Hasbro product. So Mark, are you ending that summary with you're still a little unclear on how the current time bomb could work, because it seems to contradict what we have been shown, but you're willing to accept a lot of wiggle room because it's just comics, it's a long-running series, and also if, as per Diana Davis's explanation a month ago, stuff has happened off panel that we haven't seen, maybe other stuff has happened off panel.
I think there's a bit of a mystery as to what those various Snake Eyes versions have had as going into their memories, and to what extent that is impacting on their personalities. It might be that, for example, the clone Snake Eyes, that is just a full system restore. From a certain point in time, he has become Snake Eyes, but what is that restore point from? It's still a little bit unclear. And the Dawn, she is her own person, but has got these extra memories and thoughts swishing about in her memory, sort of causing her a bit of confusion, but she is her own person. I think Sean is probably then on the further end of the scale of, he is Sean Collins. The Snake Eyes memories, he may not even have known were there, but they've kind of had a sort of deep implant, a bit like a Trojan horse virus that have gone in his mind, but to what extent it's impacted him is even less clear. And I'm willing to sort of live in that world of ambiguity, but I think Squishy's sort of explanation is a good one, that the Easter egg was crafted at the point of issue 10. That's when that kind of bomb was set, and that's linked to the kind of what was happening at that point in time. But then future trips to the scanner didn't get added back into that Easter egg. So that might be why then he doesn't recognize people that he would have subsequently met. But so it might be part of his memory, but not part of that Easter egg bomb memory.
I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to stay on the theme, and not. I don't have anything to add. I think that's a great exploration of the possibilities of this continuity. I just want to point out that we have this very sort of, it's both an exciting fight scene and also an emotional one where Snake Eyes is trying to kill SCARLETT, and it's the first 1, 2, 3. First 3 pages, and then 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8, until 8 pages of this comic, until he crushes the Easter egg and frees himself. And we've seen something like this in G.I. Joe comics like once or twice before, where someone is turned and they're going after their friends. But it's been a while. And I was struck at how, it's like, I really appreciate, the page we're looking at right now, page 8. Paul's got all these great expressions on Scarlett's face where she's looking worried and confused, and these really aggressive attack moves on both Scarlett and Snake Eyes' parts. This isn't like a gimmick or experimental issue with parallel storytelling, but Hama is telling 3 parallel stories where this one Snake Eyes is doing a bad deed, this other Snake Eyes is sort of helping, right? He's destroying the blue ninjas, but technically it's like a bad deed because he's been brainwashed. And then this third parallel story, Dawn isn't doing anything bad yet, but she did take out some Joes in the previous issue, and according to next month's cover, she's going to have a showdown. And then I realized, in thinking about this issue, right, we're in the cabin in the Sierras, and we're in was it Darklonia, and then we're in the pit, and we're briefly in Scotland. And I thought I just wanted to congratulate Paul. You didn't have to draw any vehicles this issue. And what a relief that must be.
I guess not in this issue. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, maybe it all blends together because maybe just before this issue, we're drawing the previous issue, or just after this issue, you're drawing the next issue. But, there's no scene where they go through the pit and there's like 3 different vehicles on giant parking garage racks, or we cut to
you had to
Scotland.
fit in a Sky Striker last issue inside the pit, right?
Yeah, or like Destro's like, I'm gonna fly my despoiler past an army of past a legion of my demons and anti-gravity pods. And to the extent this, you're a professional, if it's in the script, you'll draw it. But to the extent that there are things that may be more your specialty, as you've said, people and soft goods like clothing. But there's still backgrounds and there's still tech. But I thought that this was a different kind of issue because there are barely any Cobras in it, right? We don't see, we see kind of a painting of Destro on the wall in one panel on the second to last issue. And you could argue that if 3 Snake Eyes have been turned evil by Cobra, they're Cobra. But we see an Iron Grenadier for 2.5 panels.
Right.
But there's no Destro, there's no Baroness, despite her many cover appearances. There's no
Baroness, but there is a bear. So
yeah.
And then
if only there could be a crossover and have a bear Baroness.
And then I thought,
moving on.
I actually thought your mileage may vary, but I thought the emotional apex of this issue was Snake Eyes killing the bear. And I'm always sort of intrigued by and saddened by that kind of scene. because, you know, even when it's like a T-Rex, it's like they're just here to eat. They're just apex predators. You can't be their friends, whether it's like time travel or, you know, we made them now in Jurassic Park. But I don't want to be friends with a bear. It's just going to eat me. It's just going to maul me. But it's an animal, and animals are beautiful creatures. And, you know, I'm a pet owner, and
we've seen bears in G.I. Joe before. So this is issue number 32.
Very
also
good.
in the High Sierras, where there was a bear chasing following the conflict in issue 31, where they're in that log cabin, and it gets taken out
does
by.
It get blown up by a satchel of grenades?
Yeah, a satchel charge tossed around its neck.
Oh man!
Is that a bear with a purse? It's like
yeah,
I think,
deadly bear, deadly purse.
It seems that Larry Hama is averaging killing a bear every 300 issues. So the good news for me, where, you know, if it's like an alligator or like a swarm of bees, it's like a swarm of bees is not going to be my friend, or like an anaconda. And I know that bears get anthropomorphized in movies and shows and toys. And I imagine that the script here, the plot here called for, and look at page 16 right now. Paul drew just a normal, angry, hungry bear that is not going to be like distracted by a noise or like a scent and move away. It's just here to harm Scarlett. And Francesco Segala takes it a step further by giving, hey, someone does have glowing red eyes in this issue, right? When I'm describing that, I'm really thinking of Megatron and some early episodes of Transformers. But anywher,
Paul, what were you thinking of this particular bear? Was there a particular bear from other media that you were trying to channel here?
I mean, I had drawn bears before. It's kind of a weird bears and like apes. I have a tendency to in my career, because you're the
bad guy.
When I drew the Outsiders, there was a character named Wild, and he was kind of a bear man. And then I did a graphic novel for Simon Games called The Others. I don't know if it's ever going to see print, but we had a bear character in that, a bear with a chainsaw. Can't get much better than that. But I mean, I guess obviously a bear attack like this, it's hard not to think back to like Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio, that type of feel, where it's just, the bear's, he's not your friend in that scene. So that's kind of what I was thinking of. It was a fun scene. It's very moody, and especially with the rainstorm and more shadows and stuff, it was a lot of fun to tackle, even though animals aren't always the easiest things to draw.
And then page 20, Snake Eyes is holding Scarlett. He's cradling her, and the bear is dead behind him, and Timber has recovered and has shown up, and there's a sword sticking out of the bear's head. And the bear looks sympathetic, the expression on its eyes and with its tongue hanging out. And that's when I thought, oh man, I killed a bear. And then my other, this is not an emotional high point. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I jump back to just an earlier scene before we move to the bear, which was this one with just before Scarlett makes an escape from the cabin, she sort of gives Snake Eyes a judo throw, which may or may not intentionally be a callback to issue number 27 of G.I. Joe, where Scarlett gives Snake Eyes a throw, and she describes it that he was so good that he didn't need to win. He had nothing to prove. He was the best. He let me win to save my pride. And I wondered whether, sort of with that in mind, there may have been a little bit of a hint that Snake Eyes was, in this moment, still sort of battling against this urge to kill to kill Scarlett. That had she been a blue ninja that he didn't have an attachment to, she'd have gone down easy. But he battling against it, and to some degree, letting her kind of get the upper hand in at least this moment.
That is the. Take it away, Paul.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I remember in the script, it was specifically supposed to be like a judo flip. So, I mean, for all I know, that was in Larry's mind, hearkening back to that earlier scene. So, I don't know. It like I said, I'm not nearly as schooled in the G.I. Joe lore as you guys are. So, but I mean, with you bringing that up, it is very, very possible that's what Larry was thinking.
I think it's also, if Scarlett's going to run and Snake Eyes is going to win this battle on his own, in his own mind, Hama still wants Scarlett to be a badass and active. And so it's not just that she runs. It's not just that Timber helps her. It's that she, for a moment or two, can best Snake Eyes. So, Mark, I do like this idea that it's a callback to 27, and maybe Snake Eyes is fighting it or sort of letting her have the move. But Scarlett is formidable, and I appreciate that. As unstoppable as Snake Eyes always is, no matter the story, no matter how long the mission's been, how tired he is, if he's been shot or not. Scarlett is also a G.I. Joe, and they're the best of the best.
Yeah. Before we move too far on from the bears, I was just going to mention as well that Pursued by Bear is a trope that originates from William Shakespeare's most infamous stage directions, Exit, Pursued by Bear, from his play The Winter's Tale, which relates to a sudden, absurd, and deadly escape. There we go. So we're dealing with Shakespearean levels of of storytelling in here. So Tim, your other high point.
I'm going to say one more thing about the Snake Eyes scene, and then I'm going to jump to a different scene. When Snake Eyes is pursuing Scarlett as she's running, we see a close-up of his eyes between the grills of his visor, and then we see him inside his own mindscape, this visual depiction that Mindbender was also seeing of his old room with the uniform, and yes, page 15, thank you, and locker. And when I read this issue, I thought, okay, the last issue I was picking on for the motivations didn't quite work for me, even if I liked the general concept of good guys turning evil. But I want more differences between the three Snake Eyes characters. And when I got to this page, I thought, oh, is Snake Eyes going to learn something about himself, or will he see something about himself that we've never known? Because he's about to open up this locker, this Foot Locker. And I had momentarily forgotten that that's where the egg is, even though Mindbender did explain it in the previous issue. And so I appreciate that Snake Eyes does overcome this mental adversity, and he has the egg and he smashes it. But I was also hoping some other thing would happen where Snake Eyes is in his own sort of mind flashback, because it's been a long time since we've had an added kernel to Snake Eyes' big backstory. And for so much of the Marvel run, that was a big motivator. And that may not be fair, because Hama, although he's talked about sort of the core of G.I. Joe is like Snake Eyes and Scarlett and Storm Shadow and to some extent Stalker, there have also been, dozens and now hundreds of other issues about other Joes and other factions, Destro and the October Guard and other countries and all that stuff. So on the one hand, I want there to be like a new reveal or kernel. And on the other hand, it's an ensemble book. It's a team book, period. My other thought about this issue is, there's this cool, so Squishy says, enjoyed the issue, but the crisis seems to have passed quickly. Stalker figured out the trick of the original 13 a bit too quickly, would have liked it drawn out a bit more. I'm inclined to agree. I do think with Dawn still under the spell, next issue will be...
And question mark over Sean as well. So they've kind of got to I think the original Snake Eyes bit has been resolved, but after all, he is Snake Eyes, or at least a version of Snake Eyes.
Right.
So he's the Batman,
the most mentally steeled of the three Snake Eyes.
Yeah. And it just the story is continuing. It's not fully resolved. We've got this open-ended element with Dawn and Sean.
Page 13, 12, 11. The other thing that struck me about this issue is, there's this video on YouTube of Larry Hama in an empty white room holding a katana, doing a couple moves of a form. And I think the footage is by Mark Chang from when they were making that independent film Ghost Source Zero. And Hama is holding the sword, and he takes a step, and he holds it up, and then he puts it down and puts it back in its scabbard. And there's this moment on page, did I say 11? Yes, where Sean pulls the sword out of one of these blue ninjas, is holding it up upside down, and then wicks it, slashes it away from himself to, with the momentum, get all of the blue ninja blood off of it, which is a thing I've seen in samurai movies, to say something sort of dumb and imprecise. And I can't remember if it's Seven Samurai or Yojimbo or Senjuro or what, but for all the I want Snake Eyes to do cool Snake Eyes stuff that happens every time Snake Eyes shows up, here's this very cool Snake Eyes thing that Snake Eyes' friend Snake Eyes did. And I feel like there's so much going on this issue, and I'm sort of worried about everyone. I don't think any of the Snake Eyes are going to kill a Joe, but all the Joes are in danger, and we're the bad guys. But these three panels right here feel like a very Larry Hama moment, where he's having a character do something with great authenticity with a real world weapon. And sometimes it's a machine gun or a tank, and sometimes it's a sword. And I actually think maybe from the length of that sword, the different, I don't know the names of different Japanese swords, but and I don't think we've seen this particular movement where you snap a sword to get the blood off of it. I don't think we've seen that in an issue of G.I. Joe. So file under cool Larry Hama thing that happened in a G.I. Joe comic.
And specific question here for Paul. There's a lot of ninja sword fighting, action happening here with these Sean scenes. Is how's that is approached in terms of what's scripted and sort of specific from Larry versus your approach to kind of drawing these scenes and figuring out the choreography and trying to make that as interesting as possible.
Well, if I remember correctly in the script, Larry, there's a specific term for that move. I can't remember it to save my life. So but he doesn't really explain it that much. He just has the specific name. So I researched it a little bit online, and I'm thinking, this is going to be tough to try and portray, just because motion in a comic is not motion in a video or a movie. So that proved to be a little challenging to try to figure out how I could do this. There it is. That's the name, Shibiri. That's it. Or Kibiri, or however you pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah. So that proved to be a challenge. That, and it's weird that I'm drawing G.I. Joe, but weapons and that kind of stuff really gives me a challenge. So if you noticed in these pencils, if you compare them to the actual finished product, they had to lengthen the sword a bit, because I'm just terrible with eyeballing exactly how, the blade length on these things. And because that was one of the things that came back from editorials, hey, you probably should extend the blade a little longer.
Is that
because if you notice in panel 2,
right.
they took the hilt part out. just to extend,
Right.
make the blade look longer.
Is that an art correction, Paul, that you did, or did Inker
That was
Tony
that was
Kordos
that was something Tony did, because
Okay.
if you look at the pencils, that's the way I turned them in. So it wasn't anything really that big a deal for Tony to do. You know, just go in and tweak a couple little things. For all I know, he did it digitally,
Right.
but
Matt, thank you for the fact check and the
Yep.
explanation. Chiburi.
Yep. So that was definitely something that was a little challenging, trying to convey exactly what was going on. I'm glad you picked up on it. So maybe it was successful then.
Yeah, and it's fun again. You know, it's doing something different and new, and trying to have each panel and action look a little bit different. This page on screen 10 is a fun one as well. Sort of trying to do again something different, and I like particularly this first panel where we've kind of got the half head of that blue ninja kind of cut through, and that being sort of in almost the focal point in the foreground, with Sean facing off against two further ninjas in the background.
Well, that's
fun
something
page.
that's always in the back of my mind, is trying to make sure I don't repeat myself. Which after 35 years of drawing comics, it can be kind of difficult sometimes, but yeah, just try to keep it interesting and do, change the focus every once in a while, and just keep it interesting, or at least try to.
Paul, how about this? Instead of worrying about never repeating yourself over 30 plus years, what if just series per series, while drawing G.I. Joe, not repeating yourself from G.I. Joe, but if you would inadvertently repeat a panel from, a series, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I bet we're not going to pick up on it. Although if anyone's going to pick up on it, it's going to be us. Mark, should we mention a letter from a friend of the show in the letters page and wrap up?
Yeah, so I think we've covered off most of the main elements of the actual issue itself, so we can probably jump ahead to the back of the book. Let's see, let's jump to so we've got a nice teaser for Tomb Raider to come. We've got the kind of command files, order of battle type page for Alpha 001. I like just the unusual look of this illustration. It isn't one that you necessarily guess that anyone would draw, with these quite freaky looking dangly hands. And one of the things that jumps out from that profile is sort of describing it as the Queen, and not indicating gender, but it's just, I guess, sort of a marker of the way that the hive works, and the parallel to bees and the Queen being in the center of that. So in the post box, the pit, we've got a great letter from friend of the show, Greg Augustin, who has just written, had just had funded his Kickstarter for After Action Report Command Files Volume 3, which is a sort of a profile book focusing in on Cobra characters. And yeah, talking about the great new characters introduced in 3 to 5, and even goes as far as to include one of his own illustrations, which is a lovely touch. Tim.
Yes,
yeah. With that Kickstarter, I think there's a Joe version too. There's Cobra and Joe's for the command.
Yep.
What's it called?
This is the official Order of Battle book for the new Kickstarter.
Right.
Greg has done a fan project, which is sort of similar to Order of Battle, but sort of trying to outline absolutely every single Cobra character ever created, which is quite the task.
But the official Kickstarter that just came out, I did 6 pieces for it. So
cool, right?
Yeah, three Cobras and 3 Joes.
So the chuckles you did online.
Yep.
Because the Skybound Kickstarter for the second Compendia set, that also includes the first Compendia set, there's a bonus where you can get a new issue of G.I. Joe Order of Battle with all the good guys and a new issue with all the bad guys. So I just wanted to say congrats to Greg for getting a letter in the letters page. And it's neat that assistant editor Caitlin Chappell included the art
and there's a brilliant but uncredited letter in the back of the book as well, which I think deserves some music and it being read out properly.
Oh wow! Is this the letter that starts on the very bottom of the first page of the letters?
It begins. Yo, Alex, and crew. ARAH 325 was such a treat. I could praise the issue at length. How great it was to have a change of pace with a grounded story from Hama and a treat of Mooneyham on art, matching the very best of Joe Kubert war story grit, as well as the fun of new characters and the return of the dossiers in the back of the book. But I'll single out a very specific element. Thank you for bringing back the issue title, lettered on the first page of the book. Perhaps the first time since issue 155. It's a small thing, but for me, it is a hallmark of what makes a classic G.I. Joe story. One small request, which goes unanswered. Can we see the Hama sketches of the designs for the new characters? Let's see if you could top this issue before we get to 350. Yours, as always, an uncredited Mark from the Talkie Joe podcast.
So, Mark, congratulations on another letter. Remind me, a month or two ago, you got in a letter, but it was only credited to Mark and not Mark Talking Joe podcast, right? And you thought
they're just shorting it each time, yeah.
Yes, and I would hope that it's like just they're in a hurry. The letters page is always the last thing that the editor and assist. Well, you say short, but they're on the second page. There are like 8 additional lines of space that could have been filled with someone's name on the previous page. Maybe it's possible that they don't want to seem like they keep running letters by the same 6 people, although wonderful folks like Greg Augustin and Gene Kendall are repeat customers, or maybe they don't want it to look like some conflict of interest or something because you do a podcast, but we've also interviewed some people from Skybound.
Generally never ascribe anything to malice, which could just be explained by an error.
Yes.
Or they could just be having fun too.
Just winding me up.
Because we know he's going to bring this up in his next podcast, so let's have some fun. So
maybe your next letter to the letters page, Mark, in the opening line, you can indirectly identify yourself so that if your name gets cut from the bottom, it's like, on my weekly podcast, I always like to point out my favorite thing about a G.I. Joe issue. And then at the end, if it doesn't say Mark and it doesn't say Talking Joe, then people will think, is that Mark from Talking Joe?
Much like the Energon universe, you are unstoppable. So
well, I wrote a letter about one of the issues that came out in April at maybe that'll show up in next month's letters page. Probably not. But we'll see. And I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, so join us again next time in a month's time when we will be discussing issue 331, quick maths. That will be the follow-up to this one. It'll be out in August 12th, 2026. And the beginning of a new cover theme, connecting covers from Nimit Malavia, which is sort of a return to that kind of desk scattered with interesting mission paraphernalia on it, with a character in the foreground. So yes, we have moved on from the Gears of Joe theme. Where
quick question for Paul. Paul, today is a weekend day. Will you be going to the drawing board after recording this episode with us? Are you taking the day off?
Normally I would be, but I'm actually going to be visiting with some friends. So, but I was doing a little bit of drawing before I hopped on. So drawing, I think I was working on page 7 of 334.
Paul, where can people find you on the internet?
Nowheres. I'm kind of like Bigfoot, but they can always check out my site, paulpelletierart.com. It's where I usually post pages for sale, various books I've worked on. That's pretty much it, unless I'm doing a podcast like this. So.
Yeah. So if as we've been putting up those pencil pages on the screen, if you've gotten a thrill from seeing those, you could have that very page in your hands by visiting Paul's website and buying them at very reasonable and fair prices. So head on over to the website and give it a bit of an explore. I'll just call out that Travesty Brimstone also shouts out and says that it's got his first ever letter printed as well. So I don't know what name that would be under, but very well done to you.
Congrats.
So Talking Joe is on talkingjoe.co.uk. That is the website we can be found that points you in the direction of all the places we are at, including Facebook. So yeah, we post all of the latest news and Talking Joe happenings there. So if you want to see the latest G.I. Joe comic news as it breaks, that's the place to find it. You can find us as an audio only website. You can find us as an only audio only podcast or on YouTube. So if you're on audio only, please give us a 5-star review. And if you're on YouTube, make sure that you've liked and subscribed. And you could even be one of the cool kids like Richard, Sam, Christopher, Shane, Simon, Joe, Craig, D, Shane, V2. This one has got giant polygon extrusions from his top half. Patrick, Infinite Entertainment, Gary V, Coldroff B, Squishy, Matt, Edgy B, and Jonathan. They're getting early access to content, as well as some exclusives. And Tim is sending out some stuff in the post as we speak, which may hit doormats very soon. You can find the Patreon at patreon.com/talkingjoe. And I was very thankful of our Patreon this week because our StreamYard subscription came up for its annual renewal and they have put up the prices and it's quite expensive. So that takes the blow off of that a little bit as that gets processed through. Tim, where can you be found when you're not talking to me and illustrious guests about all things G.I. Joe?
Atomic Abe, that's a YouTube channel. My physical comic book store is Hub Comics near Boston, and I write about G.I. Joe at my blog, arealamericanbook.com.
Good, and to call out again, if you've not visited A Real American Book if you've not visited arealamericanbook.com this week, then head on over there just to see Tim's thoughts on the first couple of days of Joe Fest. Always a delight to read that coverage, and if you've not been, it sort of really gives you a good sense of kind of the event and the kind of big comic / toy show experience. So I think that is us done. We've run long this time. I talk about us being the Full Force Weekly warm-up show, and we've sort of crashed over the beginning of that show this week. But I imagine that Chris is probably still talking about Tomb Raider comics news, so you've probably not missed too much in terms of content that we've not covered on this particular episode. If you want to find out more G.I. Joe news, when we're done, head on over to the Full Force Weekly on their channel now, and we've got a little bit of a shout out video for that.
Hi everyone, I'm Lenny Panzica and you're watching Talking Joe podcast, the warm-up show to the Full Force.
Okay, thank you, Lenny. So thank you again, Paul. It's always a delight when you jump on and talk with us, and are so generous with your time and your thoughts.
Well, I appreciate you putting up with my cranky computer today. So, but it's always a pleasure. It's always fun.
Fantastic. So I'm pretty sure I can just hit the end stream button, unless, Tim, there's anything that you think I might have forgotten.
Nobody Beats Talking Joe, an international podcast.
That was it. Laters, everyone.
And now you don't know, because not knowing loses half the battle.